Over $2 trillion have been wiped out of the stock market in tech stocks since last September. It's got investors looking like this right now. If you're wondering what's happening, it's basically all coming down to AI and its ability to write code. Let me give you an example. Let's say a long time ago, you wanted to make a language learning app. So let's think Duolingo. To do that, you need to be a really experienced coder. You probably needed a team. You needed an investment. And you had to take a pretty risky bet to do so. Now, to build something like Duolingo, you definitely still need to be a programmer. You definitely still need investment, but that effort is dropping rapidly. Duolingo's stock price has dropped 80%. So as somebody who is a software engineer themselves, I've definitely had a lot of anxiety about the future of my role and my job in general. Diving more into this story and how it's affecting software engineers and how software gets made tells us a lot about what the future could look like for other roles in this whole AI transformation of the economy. To start off, I want to provide some context on how AI actually sucks. I think it'll be helpful with connecting the dots on what is going to matter for the future.
So researchers got a bunch of people to do what we all hated in school, write an essay in 3 different ways. The way that everyone is doing it now, which is using ChatGPT, the way that I had to do it, which was using Google, and then some using nothing but their own brains. Can you freaking imagine?
I don't know what to do now.
And they did this over several sessions across 4 months while hooked up to these things called EEG machines, which like read your brain signals. So what they found was that the more they had help from a tool, the less the brain worked. ChatGPT users showed the weakest brain activity, Google users were in the middle, and the no tools group had their brains lit up the most. So yes, the initial finding is more ChatGPT equals more dumb. No ChatGPT equal more smart. And you're probably thinking, man, am I smarter than an MIT researcher? I intuitively would think this obviously myself. But there is now actual data to show that it's true, and then the next findings are a little bit more interesting. So over time, it got kind of worse for the ChatGPT group. They were basically all kind of clones of each other. The essays started sounding the same. They had similar phrases, similar structure, kind of bland and interchangeable, which I imagine is how a lot of students are getting caught using these tools in class these days. But I digress. This group couldn't really recall anything from their essays, and they also didn't really feel any ownership over their essays. The words never really stuck because their brains weren't really engaged. Also kind of obvious that this would be the case. So there was a little bit of a twist at the end. They took away ChatGPT from the group that had been always using it and then were forced to write alone. Welcome Zoomers to my world. And their brains stayed super sluggish. The people who had been given ChatGPT who were originally writing without it used it extremely well. And their brains stayed super active and they remembered what they wrote. The takeaway is that the order matters a lot. Learning to do this thinking yourself first, then adding AI seems to be healthy. But starting with AI and then never really building the underlying skill leaves you a lot worse off.
What? This draws parallels to software engineering. Have you ever heard of vibe coding?
Dude, you're not vibe coding? You're not ripping Claude code until 3 a.m. right now? You're not building an AI SaaS, dude, in 2026? Because you should be. This shit rips, dude. Have you ever been up at 2 a.m. just absolutely cranking out a product that no one's going to use? Dude, come on. Now's the time. It's never been easier.
For those of you who don't know what vibe coding is, it's when someone builds an app without actually looking at the code, and many times as somebody that doesn't actually have a background in software engineering. What we'll see here is that a lot of people are comparing their experience with vibe coding as like taking drugs or being affected mentally in some sort of psychosis. Really glad I got my AI psychosis phase out of the way as quickly as I did. I can't unsee it in the people around me, and I don't know how to help them except to just wait it out. What is he saying? The replies are really strange. You see here, I think about this. I had a phase where I prompted every night before bed and checked on agents when I woke to pee. I was so hooked. Feels good to be on the other side. Exactly, yeah. What? I tried to get into AI psychosis, but every time I've let the tokens flow or don't look at the code base just becomes an unusable mess. People don't recognize the problem and they fall in deeper. Or this one, I expect to see a bunch of people snapping out of it. Consider how bad these models have been in the last few weeks. Junkies don't quit because the drugs hit as hard, they just do more of it?
Bruh.
Or wait until the new models drop and we'll all relapse. This is insane.
So these are some pretty funny extreme examples on Twitter, but if you talk to anyone who's done vibe coding, they've had a similar experience to this. And a lot of people chalk it up to the AI just not being that great and that pretty soon it's gonna be better. And while that's true, I think something that we have to think about is what is actually automation? Automation assumes that you have these steps that you already know are going to be done. So if we were to imagine a robot making coffee, those steps are very fixed. You're going to always do the same set of steps to make the coffee. When it comes to something more high level, more abstract, then the amount of decisions that can be made are literally infinite.
This is not to say that I think that AI is not gonna work or that the tools are bad. I actually am even an entrepreneur building my own AI product. Are jobs gonna be lost? Absolutely. Any type of translation task where you are specifying exactly what needs to be done, that is going to be rapidly executed by these AI agents, faster than a human could. In any knowledge worker role, you're sort of making decisions on the fly. And AIs are going to help us make decisions. They're going to feed us a lot of information and help us make more and more decisions faster than we've ever made decisions before. I see a cooler future, which is similar to the research that we just looked at, humans plus AI that is needed to compete with these other companies. And this is similar to how it's always been. What things can you outsource at your company that aren't actually needed for you to do internally? And what things need to be inside of your company for you to understand how to do? That's the same business question that's been asked forever. I think the investors are making the same mistake that the vibe coders are making. They're thinking way too much about the output, and they're not really thinking about everything that needs to be understood in the input to have created that output. A company like Duolingo is going to need to continuously evolve and play the game of business to survive. And to do that, it's not just shipping code. There's a lot of other things that the team needs to understand to win. So remember, find something that you can obsess with, get deep in the weeds with it. And if you don't and use AI, you're just gonna end up like those people on Twitter or those people in the study, super lost and confused.